All right, let's talk about malware. We all try to follow the rules to stay safe online, right? But what if some of the most common things we believe about protecting ourselves are actually just myth? Let's dive in and see what's real and what's not. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. Florence Nightingale? What on earth does the founder of modern nursing have to do with cybersecurity? Well, it turns out this quote is the perfect analogy. She knew that stopping a real-world infection wasn't just about medicine, it was about behavior. And that's exactly it. The very same principle applies to our digital health. You see, malware is the infection, and our best defense isn't just a piece of software. It's about wisely managing our digital lives. Because the biggest threat is often misinformation. So let's start by busting our first big myth. First up, this idea that experts can just instantly figure out what a piece of malware does. We picture some super smart analyst in a lab coat plugging it into a computer and boom, they have all the answers. The reality? Oh, it's so much more complicated than that. I mean, it seems like the most logical first step, doesn't it? If you want to know what a suspicious program does, you just run it. Let it do its thing and you can watch and take notes. What could possibly go wrong? Well, pretty much everything. Running unknown code on a live system is the digital version of hitting a giant unmarked red button. Best case scenario, maybe nothing happens. But the worst case, it could tear through your network, steal all your data, just cause absolute havoc. That's a risk no expert is ever going to take. So the professionals use this really clever solution called a sandbox. Think of it like a digital quarantine zone. It's a totally isolated virtual computer where they can detonate the malware and watch everything it does, safely, without it being able to escape and harm anything else. But here's the catch. The malware creators, they know all about sandboxes, so they build their code to be sneaky. The malware actually checks to see where it is. If it senses it's inside a simulation instead of a real person's computer, it just plays dumb. It stays dormant and hides what it's truly designed to do because it knows it's being watched. And this really shows you the scale of the problem. One study found that a staggering 78% of malware samples behave differently inside a sandbox than they did out in the wild. Our best tool for analysis is often completely fooled. Okay, so if running it is a no-go, why not just take it apart? It's called reverse engineering, basically a digital autopsy. But again, the malware authors are one step ahead. They use techniques like packing and obfuscation to basically wrap their code in layers of digital bubble wrap and then scramble it, turning it into this tangled mess that is incredibly difficult to unravel. It's a constant cat-and-mouse game. All right, let's move on to our next myth. This one is all about us, about our own behavior. We have this cozy idea that as long as we practice safe browsing, we're basically invincible. But is that really true? This is a big one. We tell ourselves that malware only lives in the shady corners of the internet. The illegal download sites, the weird forums. We assume we're totally safe on major news websites, our bank's website, or our favorite online stores. But that very feeling of safety is what attackers love to exploit. Attackers exploit our trust with something called a watering hole attack. The name is perfect. Just like a predator waiting by a real watering hole where it knows all the animals will eventually come to drink, attackers compromise the legitimate, trustworthy websites they know we visit all the time. And they have so many ways to poison that well. They can slip malicious code into the ads on a perfectly safe news site. They can hack a shared piece of software that hundreds of websites use. They can even steal the digital security keys from a trusted company or, as we saw with the NotebookLM attack, compromise government websites. The safe place you trust becomes the trap. For our final myth, let's look at the malware itself. We have this image that for a virus to be dangerous, it's got to be this massive, brand new, super complex piece of code. But the truth is, when it comes to malware, size and age really don't matter. Just look at this incredible contrast. On one hand, you have the SQL Slammer worm. It was just 376 bytes. That is smaller than a single tweet, and it infected 75,000 systems in 10 minutes. Then on the other extreme, you've got the Flame Toolkit, a 20-megabyte beast of an espionage tool. Clearly, size is no indicator of how dangerous something is. And what about age? We all think of ransomware as this very modern threat, right? Well, its roots go all the way back to 1989. The first known attack happened when a biologist handed out 20,000 infected floppy disks at a health conference. The idea isn't new at all, it's just that today, untraceable cryptocurrency has made it an incredibly profitable business for criminals. So we've busted some pretty big myths.
What's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's that the most important defense you have isn't a program you can install. It's actually a shift in your mindset.
Let this number sink in for a second. A 2021 study showed that out of all the ransomware victims who actually paid the criminals to get their data back, only 8% got everything back. Paying them almost never works. Prevention is really the only cure.
So, it all comes down to this: practicing good digital hygiene. You have to understand there are no 100% safe neighborhoods online. Your defense has to be layered. That means unique passwords, always updating your software, using good security tools. But honestly, above all that, a healthy dose of skepticism is your single most powerful shield.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. We've seen how malware's greatest weapon is deception. It's designed to trick our tools and exploit our trust. So if that's the case, is it possible that our biggest vulnerability isn't a flaw in our software, but a flaw in our own assumptions? Thanks for joining me.